It's Saturday the 14th of June 2025. I'm in my car on the way to a place called Cossonay to pick up my partner from homeopathy training. I'll give you a bit of help you see how can I do this. Have a look at a bit of the Swiss countryside here. It's very pretty. I just stopped on the way, just came off the motorway for that. Come back to me. So today is a very special day because I want to talk about bending rather than breaking. Bending as in a branch bending rather than a branch breaking. Yesterday was Friday, so I wasn't on YouTube anyway, but I started to realize that I'm starting to end up in a complicated situation in my life, and I'm just opening some water because it's hot here. Excuse me a moment. Oh, it's definitely work. I don't know if you know, I usually talk about my life a little bit so you can understand what's going on. I think today it's absolutely really important because what I'm going to talk about is based on that. So in my life in general, I do an awful lot of things. I have a full rota of patients. I am responsible for psychologists and for running a big part of a private practice. And the 70-day challenge, I've been going to the fitness, the gym most days, and I've been going YouTube live most evenings. And so I've been having basically 12-hour days, which has been fine until last week. I felt powerful, I felt strong, I felt like a Superman. I kept telling people all these things I was doing, and I was very proud of myself. Unfortunately, this week has not been the same. This week I have realised that the terrace outside my apartment, which has been a mess for weeks and weeks, I'm going to have to get sorted out in 2 weeks because I've got a daughter that's having a birthday, and I usually invite the parents up into my terrace, which is not acceptable to 3 people. My apartment is a total mess, and there's a lot of situations happening on the administrative side of the cabinet of the practice that I'm running that's taking an awful lot of my time and energy and stress, and I'm starting to burn out. I'm starting to feel that it's just too much. And I think it's incredibly important to share with you this situation, because I don't know how many of you or people close to you are finding themselves in a situation where they're not making it. And they're starting to feel they're not making it. They haven't broken yet. And they can still bend. And what I have decided is that I'm going to lighten up on going to the gym, because it's not that important. Yes, for my ego, I would like to end the 10 weeks of this challenge with thinner and stronger and more muscly and go on holiday and be sort of a mini Charles Atlas. That is my ego, and that will be great. But that is just too much stress, especially 5-6 times a week. It's not realistic, not with the time I've got, and not with all the things I've got to do. YouTube Live has become a huge stress, because not only is it 1 hour almost every single day, half hour in French and a half hour in English, but there's also the hour it takes to prepare. Because when I first decided to do the YouTube Live, I expected to have a lot of feedback and to have people that were there and I could interact with them, but it hasn't. And so that hasn't happened the way that I expected. And so I'm having to prepare things which take another hour. So altogether, with my patients, the administration, the fitness, and the YouTube, I'm working 12-hour days. And that was fine as long as the administration of the practice was working well. And there's been some complications that has taken an awful lot of strain and energy from me. And Also, I have this birthday in 2 weeks for this daughter of mine. I have to get the terrace sorted out. And it's just become on the Monday, this Monday, I'm talking to my association, and I'm going to spend quite a bit of time explaining what it's like to run a small institution and the problems and the stresses and the difficulties, so they can share a bit in my happiness. And also with my daughter's birthday, it's going to be Saturday, and therefore YouTube Live is going to be complicated again. And to stress myself out, to fulfill all these obligations, which I have given myself, is unreasonable, and it's dangerous. And so that's the message I want to give you today, is that you can find yourself in a situation that is more and more dangerous for your health, or somebody close to you, or even a colleague, that you'll start to notice that they're not functioning the way they usually are. They're not smiling as much as they used to. They're not making jokes. Maybe they start to become more irritable. Maybe they start to show signs of anguish or signs of depression. Maybe they are functioning less well. They're being less efficient in their work, in what they do. And when you start to see in them or in yourself, or if someone gives you feedback that you're not functioning the way that they would expect you to, then this we need to be sensitive to. We are human beings. We are very, very complex machines. And we have all the different levels, the mental, the emotional, the physical, and maybe even the spiritual, if that's part of the way that you see the universe. And if any one of them starts to have too much pressure, I mean, life is multifactorial. We have pressure on every level all the time. That's just life. Life is full of stresses, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever, with relationships, with work, with our health. These things all every day. There's something. You're stuck in traffic. You do a YouTube Live and it doesn't work. Thursday I did a full hour French and English YouTube Live, and at the end of the day I noticed it hadn't worked. And there was nothing to do. More frustration, more irritation, more questioning what is worth and what is not worth doing. And this is something that is so important. It's so important. I spend so much time saying you can do it. You know, the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can. You go for what you can do. And you can do more. Move out of your comfort zone. Go into the zone of discomfort, because down the zone of discomfort. Hello, thank you for saying hi. Hi. You go out of your zone of comfort, you go into the zone of discomfort. That's when you grow, that's when things change. You move to the zone of suffering, just a little bit of suffering. That's when things really change, that things really getting better. That's really, really important to get that. But if you end up touching that zone of pain, that's when you start to damage yourself. And I'm getting messages, I'm sorry about that, can't help it. I'm feeling that I'm touching that zone of pain. And when we touch that zone of pain, when we start to get more and more irritable, or this heavy tiredness, or this feeling of helplessness, or this feeling that we're not going anywhere, the feeling of, is it worth this waves of anguish or depression. Once we start to feel those things, we need to take them seriously. Now, everybody has the right to feel all these negative things from time to time. It's normal, it's even healthy. It's our body and our mind and emotions way to react to certain situations. It's a warning. There's a danger, take a step back. This person is giving you pain and suffering. Don't invest more in this relationship. This job is becoming very boring, very frustrating. Maybe it's time to look for new responsibility, or to think about it, to move from where you're at. Or maybe you're finding out that you're in a role that you shouldn't be in the first place. Now, one of my major problems in my life is that in 2023, the rules changed in Switzerland about who could employ psychologists, and before it was psychiatrists, they could have something called delegation. And in 2023, the Association of Psychologists succeeded to change the rules so that psychotherapists, which is another level, the psychotherapists had the right to bill their health insurance. But what it did is it removed the psychotherapists in training from being looked after by psychiatrists. And then the rules changed, and you needed a psychotherapist to look after them, to take charge of them so they could continue to work and the patients could continue to be seen. And in our practice, because I am a psychotherapist and have been for 20 years, it's quite obvious that I was in an NA, a senior, that it was quite normal that I would take over the psychologists, the psychotherapists in training. And it's a leader role. And I'm not really a leader. And it's difficult to say, and I don't like to admit that I'm not a leader. I like to think myself as a leader. There's something in my attitude, my personality, my education, that I'm much more a number two. I'm very successful in supporting leaders with organization and administration, filling in for them from time to time. No worries. But to be a leader, to be able to cope with all these emotional and personal interactions and things like that, it's just not really my thing. So when things are working well, I'm quite capable to do all the good organization, administration and things like that. But when something goes wrong, I'm not really the best person placed to do that. And so it stresses me out so much more. And that has been the last straw. That has been the one bit that has been too much. And I was fine being a hero, working 12 hours a day, seeing my patients, organizing the YouTube Live, going to the gym, and living on my life as well. It was fine. I was superb. I was Superman. But then they came extra bits. This birthday party that I need to do my bit to organize and see to the terrace and see to other things like that. And just other things that I've been stresses over the last months to do with other things in my life, and it's just worn me down. And you need to be aware that if you start to feel you're being worn down by life, it's not a fault of yours. It's not a terrible weakness. Some people cope with certain things and some people cope less with other things. And maybe you are having to cope with things that you're not very good at coping with and it's costing you too much. Or you've been coping with something for too long and it's not improving. Or you've got more and more pressure. What the hell is that? Something sounded like a drone that was coming over. Maybe you're just in a situation where you're being asked to do or expected to do things that are beyond what is comfortable for you. And what I have noticed for me is that I need to take a step back. I need to bend. I need to give up on some of the expectations I've had for myself. And it's not very good for my ego. I admit that. And to be talking to the whole world and telling the whole world that I'm not doing very well is not. It's not good for my ego, it's not good for my pride. But I think it's good for you. I think it's good for the rest of the world to see that someone that was capable to do 12 hours days for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks can be a hero for a while and then suddenly find out that it's just too much and take a step back and say, okay, my ego would like me to continue and keep pushing and keep saying how great I am. The reality is that I'm not making it. And you need to be able to say that to yourself or to the people close to you if you see that they're having these difficulties. Because if you don't, then when the bough breaks, when the branch breaks, if it's a big branch, if you've been holding on for a long time, if you've been assuming a huge responsibility, and suddenly that goes because you can't cope anymore, you could be broken. And it sounds like obvious about breaks, you're broken. But when you see somebody that has been broken, that has tried so much to cope with life, to cope with all the different needs, and also for their own ego to say, I can do this, I don't want to give up, I don't want to be a loser, I don't want to be this. It's awful because they keep getting worse. They become less and less functional. They put more and more effort in to have less and less benefit. And they become more exhausted, or they become more and more anxious, or they become more and more depressed. In general, they become more and more dysfunctional. And if you start to feel that you are going in that direction, and I'm not saying that anybody that's got a bit of a cold, a bit of a flu, I mean, it irritates me so much, this attitude of what I call the functionaries that take off maybe altogether, I don't know, 6 weeks a year off sick because I have a cold, I need to take 2-3 days off. I have a flu, it's 2 weeks off. I have a COVID, it's 3 months. I mean, that irritates the hell out of me, that these people are too precious. But those people that don't take time off, those people that are always there, I pride myself that in 25 years of work, I have taken less than 2 weeks of sick leave in 25 years of work, less than 2 weeks altogether. That includes the death of my brother, that includes the COVID, includes bad flus. 2 weeks in total. I'm not soft, I'm not easygoing, but I can feel that I'm starting to give away and feel that it's starting to be too much. And this is so important. If you can feel for yourself or for someone else that it's starting to be too much, then allow yourself, force yourself to take that step back. Say, my ego, it's wonderful to have an ego. It's wonderful to push yourself, to try hard. It's wonderful. And I support people so much and saying you can make it, keep going, get out of the comfort zone, go into the discomfort zone, get into the zone of suffering. It's going to do you well. It's going to take you forward. Of course, I push you to do that. But you also need to be sensitive to when it is too much. And too much is too much. And too much might be something that you're put in a role that you shouldn't be in. The role of being the head of this clinic is not a role that I should be in. It's not appropriate for me. As I say, I'm a good number 2. I'm good at supporting, but being the main person just somehow doesn't fit for me. And I can do most of the role, if not all of the role, but there's something in the role with interactions and relationships, things like that, that being a leader, I'm uncomfortable with it. And it doesn't work for me. And when things are working well, then everything's great and I succeed everything. But when things start to become complicated, I don't have the emotional tools. And that's just the way it is. And the other thing that's very much important is to be aware, and I was talking to one of my fitness coaches this morning, because I still do the fitness this morning, is that the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual are all linked. And they're all in action all the time. We have problems and benefits. What I was talking about on Thursday, which didn't record, which was so irritating for me because I spent so much time with it, is something which I call the level of functioning. And it's a shame it's not on YouTube for the moment, because it really talks about when you have so much that's coming in, you have energy that comes in that helps us to feel good and vitalized and nourished. And that's all different types of energy: food, sleeping, positive feedback, a hug, sex, watching a fun movie or something like that. That's what brings us energy. And then we have organic holes where the energy comes out of. And this is totally normal. And we have normal tiredness, we have normal hunger, we have normal emotional and psychological tiredness. And then we have bills, and then we have sicknesses of ourselves and other people. And all these things take our energy. And as I say, it's organic, it's natural. But sometimes we have things that open up that take a lot of energy. As I say, like for me, the administration of the clinic suddenly opened up this week, and it's just drained a huge amount of energy, which is the level has gone down. And as the level goes down, what I call the level of function has gone down, then it's general. And so, yes, it's tiredness, and it's fortunately, I have a very good person to talk to, which is myself. Because after all, I have been a therapist for a long time, so I can sort of have an inner dialogue and say, Gary, where are you up to? What's happening? What are you going to do about this situation? Because you must do something now before things start to break. This is the warning sign. This is the oil light that's flashing on your car. This is the moment when you've got your computer that's saying you don't have enough power, it's going to switch itself out unless you plug it in. This is the moment of warning. This is not the moment of problems. And when you can be sensitive to this moment of warning and say, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to say, this is going in the wrong direction. I'm going to drive myself into a wall at 100 miles an hour. And this is going to be very destructive. So stop. Put your ego to one side. Put your expectations of yourself to one side. Negotiate other people's expectations of you and say, altogether, what's happening in my life is too much. I don't have enough resources to do all the things that is expected of me, and expected of you mostly includes yourself. And that's something that most people that get this situation of burnout is because their own expectations become unreasonable. And it could be fed by bosses, it could be fed by partners, it could be fed by needs. I mean, a lot of people end up with a burnout if, God forbid, a close person to them gets very sick. And yes, someone else being very sick, never mind yourself, is a huge emotional charge for many people. And as you're sort of trying to look after somebody, or somebody has died, or one of these major life traumas happen, then of course that absorbs an awful lot of your normal life energy. And you can get to the point where you just are not making it. And sometimes we have to face these things. Sometimes we can't do much about it. If you've got, as I say, if suddenly your company that you built over 20 years suddenly, because of the COVID, had to close down and it went bankrupt and you've lost everything, I mean, that's a disaster. And that's going to cost you an awful lot, no matter how much work or how much effort you put into it. Or if yourself or somebody close to you gets very sick or has a bad accident. I mean, I follow patients that have lost parents, partners, even children. And it's awful for them. But they need to be aware also that they're my patients, so already they're looking for resources, they're looking for outside help. Often they stop working for a while so they can do their grieving process. These things are not wrong. What is wrong is denial. If you deny that things are not working, that things are not functioning as they should, if you deny that, you can end up broken. And the older you are, the more mature you are, the more you invested in things, the more that when you break will be difficult to repair. I've seen people that have gone to the psychiatric hospital 45, 50, 55 years old. And okay, it says it's okay. Still flashing from my side, it's still flashing, so I don't know if it's flashing for you. If it's flashing for you, I apologize. This is just how my life is at the moment. My life is there's not enough resources, things are not working the way they're supposed to. And we'll see what happens. This is just, as I say, this time of my life, things are just not working the way I would like them to. The way it will be smooth, but that's the way it is. I'm wondering if I should stop the live and restart the live. Maybe that'd help. Oh, what's my phone saying? Excuse me. Everything looks fine. I'm going to stop this and start again for the last 5 minutes. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't want to do anything. So anyway, maybe it's a bit hot. Can you see me better? I like the angle better. Something. As I say, I don't know if it's flickering for you. Things have gone off.